different standard opens.
Correct.
So no slouch, and if anything, probably running a little bit below expectations these last couple opens.
Now, Cohen is the youngster. He's on your left, as you mentioned, 16 years old. We saw him in Dallas last week, and I expect to see him there. He's being thought-seized right now. You'll see a hand here of thought-seize, devour flesh, a bile blight, a sign in blood, and then a desecration demon, along with 2 swamps. Playing against Royce Walter, also playing black-white mid-range. Not too surprised to see this deck making a deep run in the tournament in these players' hands. Both these players have had success in the Open Series circuit, but Huey Jensen, Owen Turtenwald, a lot of the members of the Pantheon all chose to play this version of Black Devotion at the Pro Tour.
It's very powerful, and I believe that the printing of Caves of Koilos was the tipping point for this deck.
Yeah.
It went from fringe player to perhaps Standard's best deck because now the mana is very stable.
Cohen going to play a swamp, and now here's a Thoughtseize from him. So the Sign in Blood is gone, but he will Thoughtseize his opponent. He will see a Temple of Silence along with the Caves of Koilos. There's a Pack Rat, a Bobblight, and a Hero's Downfall. This is how this matchup goes. Players targeting each other with discard, and then removal spells will clean up some things, and we'll see who can get the card advantage engines online here.
Now, I think an edge that Royce may have in this matchup, typically you do not see Underworld Connections in black-white lists. They've been replaced with Breathe the Bones or Sign in Blood or so forth. He does have 3 copies in his list, which is potentially a huge edge if this game comes down to a top-decking war.
Yeah, it's actually been a point of contention recently as Hero's Downfall is going to go to the graveyard. Jensen was a big fan of Underworld Connections, where a lot of people said, I'm actually a bigger fan of Sign in Blood in this type of deck. Jerry Thompson, a big proponent of Sign in Blood. Here is a Pack Rat that's going to come down. You know that's going to die in just a moment here, of course, as Cohen does have removal spells at the ready to take care of the rat. We'll see what ends up being the correct choice if you do go with Connections, Read the Bones, or Sign in Blood in this type of deck.
Well, Underworld Connections is the most volatile of all the options. There's some matchups where Underworld Connections is uncastable. There's also some matchups where Underworld Connections is a win condition onto its own. Neither is really true about Sign in Blood. It's more of a stabilizing element for the deck, so even though they both draw cards to me, they fulfill very different roles.
Cohen opting to hold steady here. And now he will cast Bile Blight to take care of that. Bile Blight better at taking care of Pack Rat than the Devour Flesh is. Devour Flesh can take care of Obsidat or Blood Baron of Vizkopa.
Yeah, Blood Baron's another thing both of these players have to be cautious of. Their black removal naturally doesn't work against it, and so they need to protect themselves from it as much as possible.
Cohen only has 1 copy of Devour Flesh in his main deck this particular weekend. So he'll be holding on to that one tightly, as here's a replacement Pack Rat after Walter did scry with Temple of Silence. So Cohen will play a Temple of Silence of his own, and now he will cast that Singleton Devour Flesh, so he is opening himself up to a Blood Baron of Vizkopa.
Yeah, and there are 3 copies in Royce's list, so knowing if this game goes on for a long time, there's a lot of horrible draws in Royce's deck waiting for him.
What's important there is the missing of the land drop there from Walter. He does have the Hero's Downfall to take care of the Desecration Demon, but Cohen is ahead on mana now. Now there is a swamp before Walter does pass the turn back. Cohen draws his card for the turn. It's a copy of Thoughtseize. We'll see if he wants to fire this off now or maybe wait.
Well, it seems worth casting now. I mean, a lot of this deck is proactive stuff, so might as well see what's going on. And there are 5s and 6s in Royce's deck as well, so those could be stranded in his hand currently.
2 Bile Blights. Does take 1 of them. A Godless Shrine is to draw. That comes into play tapped. Now we're at that sweet spot where both players have 5 mana. We'll see who finds the Blood Baron first. Walter will draw a card. Again, we know he has a Bile Blight in his hand, not sure of the other card. And he will cast a Pack Rat. That's timely.
From this spot, I believe Royce has a huge edge in the matchup with 3 copies of Underworld Connections to Noah's 0 and 3 copies of Blood Baron of Vizkopa to Noah's 1. Or 3 rather, sorry. 1 Obsidat.
The Obsidat, if Cohen were to draw it, however, he could not cast.
Yeah.
Which is certainly a problem here. Now, Noah does have 2 removal spells right now in his hand in Ultimate Price and Hero's Downfall to take care of Pack Rat. And he's going to fire off the first one of these. And we'll see if Walter actually does want to make a rat in response here. And it looks like the answer is yes. So here is that. Going to discard Bile Blight. I think if you're Cohen, you probably fire off the Hero's Downfall now in case you do draw Blood Baron this turn. You want to be able to cast it. Let's see what he draws. As both players are in top decking mode. Just going to pass the turn back. Walter draws a card. It's a copy of Lifebane Zombie. Cohen will show you a Caves of Koilos. Now he'll draw a card. He'll play the Caves, drew a swamp, pass the turn back. Walter is going to bash in for 3. Cohen's going to go down to 13. Let's see if Walter is able to draw this turn. It's nothing. So now here's a Pack Rat from Cohen. That's a big draw for him as he's made his opponent discard a couple of Bile Blights already.
Yeah, there's only 3 in Royce's list, so this Pack Rat with a very good shot of running away with the game.
In for 3 comes the Lifebane Zombie. This is a Blood Baron of Vizkopa. Very
Excuse
timely.
me. Though it is not impossible for Pack Rat to race from this spot, but the fact that Royce already has a substantial life total advantage means it's unlikely.
Yeah, both creatures will attack. Cohen is going to have to block here on the life band. Zombie can't afford to take another big hit. So down to 6 he goes. Walter's going to go up to 23.
That's a really important trade for Royce, though, to just manage the damage race that's going on right now.
We'll discard a Godless Shrine, so Pack Rat will come into play. Cohen will draw a card for the turn. At the very worst, it's a Pack Rat, but it could be better than that. A card like Elspeth, which is a one-of in Cohen's deck list, very important right now. He's got a Blood Baron of his own, so now the race gets very, very interesting. As Cohen rolls up his sleeves, knowing he might be able to get back into this thing now.
Well, not just get back into it, but overtake this pretty quickly.
Yep.
I mean, as long as the Blood Barons are essentially bouncing off of one another, the Pack Rats give Noah a huge edge from this spot.
So let's see what Walter can do here. Looked like he was going to steal this one. Now he's got to put the brakes on. Cohen will draw a card. Blood Baron will come into the red zone. It's 4 damage coming across. Walter down to 15. Cohen back up to a healthier 10. We'll simply pass the turn back over to Walter.
And now this is where this Pack Rat edge is going to be able to manifest itself for Noah.
Now the big question here, of course, is do you make those Pack Rats bigger or not? It's kind of an interesting situation where Elspeth can really turn around a game here. So do you make them into 4/4s?
Well, I think Noah can kind of split the difference here and do this. If Elspeth shows up in minuses, then he can start making the rats 4/4. And then for the time being, he can just leave the rats as they are. And once he's ready to Alpha Strike, then maybe he thinks about moving them to 4/4 or 5/5. But he doesn't have to act just yet.
The tough thing here for this Blood Baron is they can't attack or block. That's the really big thing. Because if he attacks, he takes a whole lot more on the way back from those very large Pack Rats. You saw Mutavault get played there for Cohen. That'll make those Pack Rats bigger as well. One of the few cards I think that he would have been happy to draw and play that was a land. Temple of Silence may be better, but I wouldn't be surprised if he would just would have discarded a Temple. Mutavault may have been the best draw he could have as far as lands are concerned.
You can see the look on Royce's face. I mean, he's kind of up against it right now.
He was so close.
Yeah.
Gonna play Desecration Demon. Cohen gonna draw a card. Blood Baron gonna safely attack again. So now Cohen's up to 18 and Walter's down to 7. Didn't get a great look at what that card was that Cohen drew. You can see the youngster figuring some things out here. He's just gonna pass the turn back.
Yeah, still no reason for him to rush or do anything, you know? As long as this keeps happening, Noah's going to win, so might as well force the action.
Demon Trigger on the stack. See if Cohen has any interest in maybe sacrificing something to that. And it looks like the answer is no, so now Blood Baron comes across. Cohen going to take 4. He's back down to 14. Walter's back up to 11. Walter does play a Swamp before passing the turn back. Pack Rat will be made, discarding a Desecration Demon.
I think this is going to be the spot where Noah makes some sort of large Alpha Strike.
Yeah, it might be everybody at this point.
If he was willing to make a rat here and moving up to 4 power, risking an Elspeth, I think that means it's time.
Cohen going to fire at Mutavault. Those are 5/5 rats now. Looks like he's going to attack with every single one of them. And that is going to do it. A timely draw of Blood Baron Scopa for Noah. Cohen does get him back into that game and lets him take it down. He's up a game with his black-white mid-range deck over Royce Walter.
That was incredible, too, because it felt like that game had the making of first person to Blood Baron wins.
Yeah.
Royce was the first one there and still lost.
We'll take a look at the sideboards. They're probably going to be pretty similar, but we'll start with Royce Walters first.
3 Doomblade, a Drowned Sorrow, 2 Sin Collector, 2 Nyx Lyceram, 3 Duress, Underworld Connections, and Erebos God of the Dead, 2 copies of Deicide. I think the Erebos, the Underworld Connections, the 2 Sin Collectors, the 3 Duresses. Pretty standard stuff in this matchup.
Now on this side, we got Nobusadata, Sin Collector, 3 Duress, 4 Doomblade, 3 Lifebane Zombies, a Deicide, and then 2 copies of Drown in Sorrow. Do like Sin Collector for the same reasons you do. I think same thing can be said for Duress here as well, just ripping each other's hands apart. The big question for me is, do you want the additional Obzada? I think Obzada's a pretty good card in the mirror.
I feel like it's something you want. You just want to have more high-impact top decks when the game attritions out the way that it did. I mean, that first game there is a lot of what the matchup plays out. Both players attack each other's hands, use removal spells on things like Pack Rat and Desecration Demon, and then the first person to find a durable threat wins the game.
You know where you can play the Black-White Mirror match at?
All sorts of standard tournaments.
Also SCGNY.
SCG Game Night.
You can do it there as well, beginning in September.
Again, we're very close to signups being concluded for September, and international signups are available as well. So make sure to get on there no matter what part of the world you happen to live in. 2 pins and 8 foil tokens each week. New pins and foils released each month, every Wednesday night in September. Again, August 11th, the cutoff for getting ready to go for September. StarCityGames.com/game night for more information.
Looking forward to this, that bushy squirrel. You can win at game night coming in September. As Patrick did mention, August 11th is the cutoff to have those in September. So if you do want to do it, bug your local tournament organizer or store owner. We can't wait to host these beginning in September, where you can, if you'd like, play Black-White mid-range mirrors.
And unlike the IQ circuit, let's say, where there's some certain formats or certain sanctioning requirements that are required to run these are supposed to be very casual. So the formats and sanctioning are up to the stores themselves. So don't worry about these being really competitive events. In fact, the whole point of these is for them to be a little bit more on the casual side.
Looking forward to it in September, as we're going to head back to our match right now, the Black-White mid-range mirror. It looks like a lot of players are favoring this version of black over any of the other ones right now. Again, this is the one that I would say performed the best. Don't have the statistics in front of me, but if you take a look at just the top 8 players that did play this archetype, you saw a lot of the Pantheon play this deck. You saw Owen Turtenwald and Huey Jensen make the top 8 with this deck as well.
It's one of those scenarios where it's hard to know whether or not is Black-White the best deck, or is it one of many good decks and William Jensen and Owen Turtenwald are the 2 best players on the planet. But I do think that because Owen has been so consistent in playing mono black devotion for this year, he's really avoided splashing even when a lot of people were moving to green or moving to black or what have you. If he felt it was correct to add a second color, that to me says a lot, because Owen's instincts were definitely to play just the single colored version of black devotion most of the year.
We talked about on the last episode of Set Talks about, who we think the best player is right now. You said Huey, and I went with Owen. I was just thinking about it a little earlier, a little later in the week.
Now, to clarify, in my mind, they're 1 and 1A.
Yeah, no, it's obviously neck and neck. I was thinking about that. It's a discussion that players like to have, and, people who watch Magic like to have. Obviously you can throw Reed into the conversation. I always feel like, just for whatever reason, because we don't know Jeremy Desani all that well, we have seen Owen and Huey and Reed, and we know them pretty well as guys that come to the tournaments. Desani getting 9th at the Pro Tour, too, and locking up Player of the Year, and it's crazy to say that I feel like the Player of the Year is almost underrated.
It's weird, and it definitely is true. And I think that just has to have a lot to do with just, my personal, engagement and how well I know Owen and Huey. Distorts the conversation a little bit. Desani's had an incredible year, and if not for tiebreakers at the last Pro Tour, who knows what kind of season he could have just had.
Yeah, and who knows what the conversation we're even having.
And he's still the Player of the Year. In any scenario, but he is a player that is, I agree with you, somehow underrated.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. And not to take anything away from Owen or Huey or Reed, because, who are we kidding? It might just be those 4 players are the 4 best players right now.
To me, Huey's accomplishments have spanned, it's not just this year.
Sure.
But, we have 15 years of evidence at this point to suggest he's one of the best that has ever played.
Yeah. This is true. This is true. Always a delight to watch him do battle.
I believe in one of his Hall of Fame articles, not this year, but last year or the year before, John Finkel said it's very easy to imagine a world with a couple slightly different events where William Jensen is regarded as the greatest player of all time.
It wouldn't surprise me. A couple more top finishes. And he is certainly well on his way right now, though. He's had one of the best years in Magic ever.
Or if he was just more active during the mid-2000s, where his activity sort of tapered off a little bit.
Yeah, he started working and stuff like that, and stepped away for a little while, as a lot of players oftentimes do before eventually coming back to the game. We've seen it happen so many times before. Game number 2 between Cohen and Walter will be underway here in just a moment in the Black-White mid-range mirror. You saw both players rip apart each other's hands, and then it was who could top deck, Blood Baron of Escopa, and actually they both did, but Cohen top decked his just in time.
Just in time.
He's got 2 in his hand right now. I don't know if that's a good place for those to be. You'd rather just draw those past the discard.
Yeah. I think my ideal opening hand in the mirror match is just discard spells and scry lands instead of the big draws.
Now here's a thought seize. You're going to see Cohen's hand. He's got Sign of Blood, 2 copies of Blood Baron, a Life Bane zombie, which might seem a little strange to leave in, but that can take Blood Baron or Obs of that. And then you've got Swamp, and Goblet Shrine.
Sin Collector as well. Actually,
Yeah,
a fair
sure.
number of targets in the mirror match.
You see Noah spreading around his hand a little bit here. Pick a card, any card. It looks like, wow, he's going to go with Life Bane zombie.
Well, it probably means that he has a Blood Baron of his own, one would assume.
It's just kind of strange because it's definitely the weakest card in his hand.
Yeah,
of the ones that are there.
In some respects it is, but the matchup is a lot to do about Blood Baron, so.
Maybe a Duress here, yep. And that Duress is going to hit the Sign in Blood. The card that was drawn for Cohen was a Knife Veil Spectre. And that plays a big role in this matchup too. Huge, huge card. Cohen will draw a card. It's a copy of Temple of Silence. He's going to put that one into play. He'll take a look at the top. Going to consult the hand before putting that to the bottom. Pass it back over to Walter, who will untap his lands. He'll draw a card. You see there's a Mutavault over there. Don't know how much action he has right now.
This would be a great spot for Royce to have some Life Banes of his own.
He's just going to play a Thoughtseize. That might be close enough. Couple of cards here to look at. 2 Swamps, 2 Blood Barons, and a Knife Veil Spectre. We'll see what Walter does select here. Yeah, I think you got to start taking at least one of those Blood Barons. Now, of course, you don't love leaving your opponent with a Knife Veil Spectre when you're in the mirror. But Blood Baron is, the card that wins the game more often than not.
You can at least kill a Night Veil Spectre.
Yeah.
Although, perhaps Royce can't. I mean, if he was thinking that long about it, he may be currently soft to a Night Veil Spectre.
You got to put him to the test right away. There's the second Mutavault. Just going to pass the turn back, so Cohen will draw a card. He's going to attack for 2 here.
Uh-oh.
This could get ugly quickly. Let's see what the top card is going to be. It's going to be a Bile Blight. Spectre can run away with things all by itself. This Walter draws a card. It's a copy of, I believe, Devour Flesh. Now this is a Blood Baron, so he's the first one to it. Cohen is going to untap. He will draw. It's a copy of Bile Blight. In comes the Spectre. Walter's going to go down to 12. Trigger that is a Caves of Kolios. That is going to come directly into play. And now this will allow Cohen to cast his Blood Baron with Scopa. The life race right now favors Noah.
Yeah, and not only that, but these Blood Barons basically just bounce off of each other, and having a Night Veil uncontested is a huge edge.
Walter will bash in with his Blood Baron. It'll be 16 all in just a moment here. Now there's Devour Flesh.
It's a big draw for Royce. I mean, he gets back to parity here.
Yeah, the Devour Flesh may not seem like much, but both those creatures are a real headache.
Yeah, Royce can at least keep parity with one, but cannot beat both.
So pass the turn back. Mutavault is the draw. That's a pretty big one, actually.
And Royce definitely got paid off for main phasing that Devour Flesh.
Oh,
if Noah untaps it, just puts that Mutavault into play. I don't think Royce is catching up.
So an exchange of 4 life will take place here. And we'll see if another Blood Baron is going to come down. You do have to be a little wary of a card like Elspeth in this matchup. They don't play a lot of them. Cohen's deck this only has 1. I'm not sure Royce has any.
He has 2 copies.
Okay, fair enough. So, do you want him to play the second one? You don't really know, especially when Cohen actually hasn't gotten a look at his opponent's hand at all. So he doesn't know, is he trying to lull me into a trap here? I'm not entirely sure.
But Royce, it looks like, has picked up Underworld Connections this turn, which is why I like his build for the mirror match.
Yeah, it seems pretty good, right? A card that Cohen does not have any copies of. So Connections are going to come down. We're going to activate that right away. Blood Baron is going to come in. That's going to allow Walter to gain some life back. And back and forth we do go. 19 to 15 now. There's a land before passing the turn back over to Cohen. Cohen will tap his 1 Blood Baron. Draws a copy of Hero's Downfall. Creatures are pretty locked up here.
Yeah, and Devour Flesh not an out for Owen here against the Mutavaults that Royce has in play.
Now, of course, Cohen's other Blood Baron of Scopa was taken by Thoughtseize, but, the point, of course, I was trying to make is if he draws another one, would he deploy the second one? I think that's actually really scary to do.
But I don't think he can. I mean, he can't win the game the way it's currently constructed. Blood Barons are essentially bouncing off of each other, and now there's a connections in play. So I think Noah's going to have to get a little risky.
Well, we're going to see what happens here in just a moment. We introduced the youngster Noah Cohen. Did top 4 our Legacy Open when we were in Dallas. Been doing a little bit of globetrotting on summer break, excuse me.
Pretty crazy. Also had a very, very nice looking Legacy deck, his bug deck, and came up to me today and told me that the cards were in fact his own.
That's pretty awesome.
Sole owner.
Those cards are older than him, some of them.
Yeah.
In comes the Blood Baron. Again, you're just going to see the life totals go up and down and all around.
And there's the Elspeth you alluded to.
Now, of course, Walter would have to lose his Blood Baron as well, but he'd probably be okay with that to get the other Blood Baron off the table. What's more important about this is that, you know, he can kind of pick and choose about how he wants to go about doing it.
Well, he can also just plus this turn and then untap and minus if he feels he's better served. He doesn't have to just force the gun here. He can generate some tokens here.
I think it is pretty important that he gets really good use out of his Elspeth, though. You know, are the tokens going to be enough? Are you better off just minusing here, clear up the Blood Barons, and you're basically saying to yourself, well, my card drawing can take things away, because truthfully, you know, your opponent has had cards in their hand for a while now, so what do you think they're realistically holding? It wouldn't surprise me at all if I'm Royce to have this thing get Heroes Downfall.
Sure, but okay, I guess I see your point.
Am I getting the max use out of this, assuming that it's going to die immediately?
Yeah, but I mean, do you want to left in your hand against a deck that has Duress and Thoughtseize too?
Yeah, of course.
Royce might just have to cast it there and do the best that he can.
Here's an attack. So Cohen will gain a little bit of life again. Now there's the pack rat. And Cohen's still coming out ahead right now simply because Walter's activating his connections.
Yeah.
So they keep gaining and dealing each other the same amount of damage, but Walter keeps tinging himself a little bit with connections. However, that card advantage could let him run away with the game. As you see, it's 23-8 right now.
We could be in the makings of a repeat of what happened the last time, where it looked like Royce had the edge, but Pack Rat plus Blood Baron just trumped Blood Baron.
In comes Blood Baron again. So Walter's going to go up to 12. Cohen's going to go back down to 19. You saw Mutavault get played from Walter that turn. I think he has a Pack Rat to play of his own here, potentially. Yeah, looks like he does. So he's still keeping up pretty well. It's getting a little convoluted here, but a card like Bile Blight can really blow things up here too, which Cohen does have in his hand. He'll have to be pretty careful about how he opts to use that card, as he does discard a swamp very quickly to make a Pack Rat.
Has the makings of a very odd game. Keep in mind, Royce also has the ability to chump block with Mutavault, so this balancing back and forth of life totals that you've seen here, with Royce slowly going down because of the Underworld connections, he can save himself 4 points of damage at any time with a Mutavault chump block.
Well, Blood Baron comes rumbling in again. 23-8. See a Duress, a Hero's Downfall, and a Bile Blight there for Cohen. And now he's got to try to figure out what to do. Because even though it feels like he's ahead right now, he can't feel great about his position.
It felt like he was ahead before Royce had a Pack Rat of his own. As long as the stuff that's in play is at relative parity, I feel like Royce has an edge here because of the connections. So it looked like Noah was in a position to gain a substantial advantage, and now that's become much more complicated. And Royce has a lot of chump blockers to work with for Pack Rat. You know, he's got his Mutavaults and the Elspeth tokens currently. But that life total is a factor on Royce's side, as you mentioned.
Yeah, almost certainly. Noah really going to take his time here and decides, okay, I'm not going to fire off the rest. That's not going to do all that much. I can just make 2 Pack Rats instead if I wanted to. So Walter will make a rat here. He might have a response, however. This could get interesting here.
I think Noah needs to trap a little bit more with his Hero's Downfall.
Think so?
Well, there's not a lot to be gained by killing the rat right now. And Royce might get, you know, something bad happens to him in combat if he gets too aggressive here.
Yeah, this is where things get real tough. I'm going to discard, make a rat here. Oh. So I see what he's trying to set up.
Oh, I see. He's making his, going to try to Bile Blight him here.
Yeah, I see what he's trying to set up. He makes his rats into 4/4s.
Yeah.
With the Mutavolt.
And then tags Royce's.
Mm-hmm. Smart play.
Though he can't really do it because Royce has access to a lot of mana and Mutavaults.
Yeah, he's got Mutavaults, so maybe a bit of a misstep there. So
I mean, it's
you
still
saw what he was thinking.
Still fine for Noah to make. I still think it's still totally fine there for Noah to make a rat.
Yeah. Connections activation is going to put Walter down to 7. Again, Walter winning in the card advantage battle right now. You could even say he's winning in the board advantage battle as well, just a little bit behind in the life game. Bloodbaron going to push him back up to 11. And the big question is, when are we going to see a play that I think we're eventually will see, which is blocking the Bloodbaron with the Mutavault and then Bile Blighting it, or killing it some way, so that Royce is unable to gain life? Will we see that line of play from Cohen? As another pack rat comes down for Walter. Here's 3 mana. Gonna discard Hero's Downfall to make a rat. Cohen will draw. Looked like it may have been a copy of Bile Blight. So here comes Bloodbaron again. Cohen's gonna go up to 23 yet again. Walter's gonna go down to 7.
Looks like it was another rat for Cohen.
Very similar to what Walter's last turn was. Strange game. I haven't seen one like this.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
They both have the same stuff. They both can't really do anything. Except for Walters has connections, and Cohen doesn't.
But even then, it's not clear how much more he can, use these connections. He does risk a lot of bad things happening if, the Elspeth tokens get Bile Blighted away, and then he's forced into combat.
So that will be a rat token, I believe.
So as you mentioned, yeah, none of these players really in a position to move just yet.
Yeah, it's just Bloodbaron's kind of running in each other, and then Walter just kind of dinging himself 1 point at a time with connections, which again could play in to Cohen's favor. Down to 6 goes Royce. Draws a card. You have to imagine this is a little bit unfamiliar territory for both the players, too.
It's a tough game to proceed, and both the players have to respect the other player's ability to either win or generate an insurmountable advantage kind of out of nowhere from this kind of spot.
Yep, so another rat's going to get made. You see the light total's 19 to 10 now. Time to draw. Let's see what Cohen finds this turn. Just a swamp. That one's pretty useless. So here's the easy part. The attack, 23 to 6.
It's a weird thing. Usually one player gets a pack rat edge and it's just out in front. I've never seen pack rat parity like this before.
Not in this fashion. So we're gonna discard Godless Shrine, make another rat token. Someone's getting fired.
Yeah.
Almost assuredly.
It's not enough tokens, Who are we going to fire?
So another rat token.
Now, Walter falling to 5. I mean, it's getting a little hairy.
Another Bloodbaron, though.
Another Bloodbaron is a lot of protection.
Yeah, let them break parity on this nonsense, finally.
Yeah, and right now he has the rats covered. Although if Noah, say, Bile Blights the Elspeth tokens, makes a rat, untaps, can threaten to make a rat with his Mutavault, if Royce taps out for this Blood Baron, yeah, I don't even think he can do it right now. I think it's too risky.
There's another rat token. Drew a copy of Pack Rat. So there's an attack. 23-5.
This is a bizarre game.
I haven't seen anything like it. It feels it's really weird to say, but it feels like to me, you know, Royce is going to activate his connections and go down to 4, and then that's where Noah gets to make his move of, you know, block with my Mutavault, kill my Mutavault, and then try to kill you with the Blood Baron. It feels like that's kind of what we've been setting up the entire time, but it's not like Royce is incorrect in activating his connections over and over again. Of course he's supposed to do that.
Yeah, Noah's not attacking. I mean, you know, it's not like Noah's racing him at all. The damage is just parity right now.
He's going to attack first. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
He attacks first before activating the connections. He goes up to 9. Now he's going to deploy the second Blood Baron. So there's 5 mana. All these pack rats out here.
And Noah's doing some counting here because he doesn't have that big of an edge in total rats to be able to kill Royce.
His rats are so big. He's got 6 rats total, as does Royce. So they both have the same amount of rats. Bile Blight could take care of those soldier tokens.
But Noah gets to untap, make a 7th rat, or make a 7th rat end of turn. Also untap, make a rat just to pump his rats.
Yep, that's the 7th rat. Now there's an Obsidat. That's interesting. I wonder how that changes things. Well, it's coming down, so we're going to find out right now.
Yeah.
There's the Ghost Council.
Yeah, Noah cannot kill with Pack Rat this turn, so he's probably better served just casting Obsidat.
So down to 7, and then the Blood Baron's going to attack him down to 3. And now, yep, no sense in keeping it around, so now down to 2.
Yeah, that thing's not blocking, so.
Yeah. Yep, down at 2. Draw a card from Connections. It's the 3rd Blood Baron. Discard Lifebane Zombie here to make another rat. So there's another token. About gummed up as a board I've ever seen in this matchup.
This is bizarre.
In come the 2 Blood Barons. Walter up to 10. Cohen down to 17. And I think we're even going to see just deploy 3rd Blood Baron. Yep. After all this time, Royce Walter is finally making some ground here.
Yeah, and now it's very hard for Noah to catch up.
Yeah.
The 3rd Blood Baron is just too good at blocking this turn and then too good at attacking next turn.
19-8. You said it right at the top. You liked Royce Walter's deck list because he has Underworld connections.
Yeah, it feels like a huge edge in this matchup. Is it better than the list overall? Hard for me to say. It does come with certain costs, but
Looks better right now.
it is much better than Sign in Blood would be. I don't know how many cards Royce has drawn off at this point. Probably 5 or 6.
See Walter's at 4. But now he's starting to climb up more instead of being at parity or slowly climbing down via connections. Cohen deciding what to do with his Obsidat.
It's another spot where I don't feel like he can really block.
Yeah, it's kind of strange actually to see Obsidat in the field and see it be, its size be irrelevant.
Yeah.
Normally the fact that that's a 5/5 normally matters quite a bit. Not now. Walter gonna draw a card with connections, make a pack rat here. Discarding a Temple of Silence. So how about another rat token? Time to untap everybody and draw a card.
Wonder if Royce is contemplating an even larger attack at this point.
Barons are probably good enough.
Probably good to just stay the course and not do anything risky.
Yeah, here's some vaults. That's going to take care of one Blood Baron. Not a bad block.
Yeah, getting one of them off the table is a big victory here for Noah.
Watching your opponent gain 12 is not the best thing I've ever seen. So now that's going to come back. So Cohen will gain 2. Walter will lose 2. So 17 to 13. As now in comes the Blood Baron.
So Royce looks like he's making his move here to double block and then double block again.
Jeez. Yeah, the timing here is a little shoddy, so both players want to make sure that the communication was pretty clear.
Yeah.
I don't think a world exists where he would catch all 4 Mutavaults with a single Bioblight, you know? I think he would say, activate 2 my Mutavaults, double block, and, you know, before you get to block Bioblight, they're both okay, after my other 2, and double block.
Yeah, it's a spot where the specifics of the verbal communication matter quite a bit.
Yeah. But I believe that's what would happen a high percentage of the time. So you kind of see the hand motioning and the back and forth on what's exactly happening here, but I don't think there's a world where Noah would catch all 4 Mutavaults with a Bioblade. But we'll see what the judge's ruling will be here and what will take place in just a moment. So it looks like the damage is through. There's a backup Blood Baron that was drawn, but can't cast it right now due to lack of lands, so.
You had to Bioblight. I guess you didn't necessarily have to, but. Now there's an Erebos that Royce has found, and now.
That's not good.
It's pretty bad news here for Noah because forget everything else about that thing being, 5-power indestructible creature.
Yeah, none of that matters.
Opponents can't gain life. I don't know if Noah can beat from here.
Yeah. There's your attack for 8. Cohen's going to go down to 9. Royce is going to go up to 20. And, you know, as much as we've been thinking about, okay, what's the best card that Royce or Noah could draw? Maybe an Erebos all along. And that's not a card that Cohen has access to.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Erebos is turned on from the many, many Pack Rats and Blood Barons, along with Underworld Connections that is in play.
Yeah, Royce's deck definitely feels much better suited for the mirror match.
Yeah.
And the one Erebos in the sideboard is another big deal to that end.
Royce will take 4, but Noah won't gain anything. There goes Obsidian.
Now, is Royce ahead on board? Because, the 8 come across from the Blood Baron.
There's also Mutavaults,
Soldier
tokens.
The Soldier tokens. I think he just has too many attackers to block us at this point.
I think that's true.
Because 8 points of damage is guaranteed.
We'll see if he sees that play. I believe he's ahead on board right
now.
Yeah. Erebos also an attacker.
Yeah, I mean, the Soldier tokens are lethal. There's just no way he doesn't have.
Yeah, you see him, he's doing the count. So now you know he's saying, okay, how many blockers do you have? I've got 2 Mutavaults too. Yeah, everybody's coming in here. Noah realizes it as well. And we're going to head to a third and final game here between Royce Walter and Noah Cohen in the black-white mid-range mirror.
Man, that was weird.
I haven't seen one like that. I have not seen a game like that.
That was a weird game.
And that one took a little while. And so now both players may have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to give each other's cards back due to Sleeves and Nightveil Spectre taking place there. That was a game I thought Noah was going to run away with.
Yeah, it seemed very good for him. But I think Underworld Connections was the difference in that game.
That was a close one, though. It was a close one. And we'll see if either player does go back to the drawing board. It looks like they are going to do that. And while they do that, we're going to talk about our modern Premier IQs and our Premier IQs in general that we've begun running here back in the Star Stadium's Open Series in Baltimore, and we'll be doing moving forward here at all our Open Series events.
So every Sunday, 10 a.m. start, modern Premier IQs are going to be occurring at all Open Series events. The Premier IQs, in general, are $5,000 in cash prizes, open points to all participants. Top 4 receive invites to the Invitational and much more. we will always be running them as modern events at the Open Series. But if you want to run them as a store owner or a tournament organizer, you can also apply for these things at the local level. They can be whichever format the store wants at that point. And we have many that we've already run outside of the Open Series and many more slated for 2014 as well. So if you're interested in bringing these to your store, or you're a tournament organizer trying to bring these to your area, contact Star City Games today, help get these set up.
The 3 that we've run so far have been well attended, so we do appreciate all the players coming out to that. As far as results are concerned, Lirapod did win the first one. Kent Ketter of Nerd Rage Gaming did win the second, and then we saw Black Rain Rock win again the third. So I'll have a watchful eye on our Modern Mirror IQ that does take place here this weekend.
All 3 of them that we've had thus far have broken 100 attendees. We had over 200 in Baltimore, so they've been very well attended so far.
If you like Modern, this is the place to be. But if you want to run from Mirror IQs, as Patrick did say, your store owner, your tournament organizer can do it, and it can be any format you want. So pretty cool stuff there. And we look forward to hosting more of these in the future. Definitely come on out to the Open Series if you'd like to play some Modern, finally here.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and having it not come at the expense of Standard or Legacy is really exciting for us.
Speaking of Legacy, I'm excited for that this weekend.
Yeah, in Syracuse?
Yeah, you got to be kidding me with that. Jupiter Games, those people, those players, they love Legacy. We watched Andy Cassis briefly here play Standard. And while he's a great Magic player, Legacy is his forte. James Wrinkle is as well.
To me, there's 3 really awesome Legacy scenes in the United States: Los Angeles, Baltimore, and Syracuse. Those are my 3 choices.
Yep.
And it's interesting because Syracuse is by no means a large city.
No.
But it does have an incredible Legacy scene.
I am really looking forward to watching the Legacy tournament here tomorrow. Should be well attended, and there will be a lot of great players. Legacy is their forte. I'm sure they're thrilled about Grand Prix, New Jersey.
Yeah, getting one close to home. Close-ish. I mean, it's still a drive, but it's drivable.
Yeah, about how far? Do you know?
I would say
done this before.
Probably about in the 4 to 4.5 hour range.
Nothing. That's nothing. That'd be nothing for you back in the day.
No, that would be nothing.
You're in your infamous Tampa drive.
Yeah. Toronto for the Team PTQ, where I was already qualified and playing with people that I wouldn't have played with even if I won the Team PTQ. That one was a little much.
Another real doozy.
That was a doozy.
We were actually talking about that this morning, the 13-hour drive that I took to Omaha, Nebraska from Purdue. I also didn't realize how far away Memphis was from Purdue.
Yep.
It's like 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Memphis is on the western side of the state, right? Of Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was like 4. So my friend just came and picked me up for Worlds that year. We hopped in a car, and I'm like, sweet, we'll be there in like 4 hours, maybe 3.5 if we drive fast. And he said, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's however long, 9 hours.
It was not short.
Not short.
It was not short. I also had $100 no hotel to stay in, but I made it. I made it. Not the best decision I've ever made, but certainly not the worst.
Yeah, except that back then we could not fathom making any other decision but that one. So
yeah. Certainly not the worst I've made.
I'm sure 10 years from now we'll be making fun of what, decisions we're making now.
That's
Just
true.
how these things go.
That's true. A tempo of silence to begin things. Here for Noah. Looks like Walter did take a mulligan. Walter will draw a card. Does he have the first discard spell? Yes, he does, and it's a Thoughtseize. Noah Cohen's hand is a Sin Collector. There's no to that. There's a Nightveil Spectre, excuse me. Ultimate Prize of Hero's Downfall, and the second land is a Swamp. Interested to see exactly what Cohen did keep on top with that Temple.
Well, no, I think put to the bottom.
Did he
And
put on the bottom?
I think he's just, I think anything that's not a land is just straight to the bottom. I think with this opening hand, there's a good chance, even if Pack Rat was the top card of his deck, that would be sent to the bottom.
Sir Royce wants to take. This is another tough decision on what you're supposed to take here. It's like, price. Draw a card. What a Thoughtseize. Take that. You trying to set something up? Yeah, you were. It was Pack Rat.
I was about to say that taking Ultimate Price there stinks of Pack Rat. And not only is it Pack Rat, but it's Pack Rat and nothing else.
Yeah, 4 lands, 2 Mutavaults of Caves, and a Temple of Silence. Now it's very important for Noah to draw a 3rd land, as Walter is going to play Temple of Silence. Put that top card to the bottom before passing the turn back over to Cohen. Let's see if he's able to peel this one. He is. It does come into play tap, though.
No, it'll take it.
Yep.
I mean, I am sure he would rather have a swamp here, but this will do.
Leaves his card on top, as we're going to be under 5 minutes here shortly.
But Royce here with a huge top deck.
Yeah, this was big Underworld Connections out of nowhere. Swamp is the draw. This is an Eiffel Spectre. This demands an answer very, very quickly, as Walter will draw a card. It's a Swamp. Down to 17 he goes. Let's see what this is. That's a Pack Rat. And we know there are 2 Mutavaults over there, so this game could change quite a bit.
Yeah. Pack Rat is not shabby here either.
Yeah, and there is the Pack Rat. So Cohen's going to untap. He'll draw a card. Deicide is huge to take care of that connections. Yeah.
Although,
now
that's even bigger.
Of his own. Okay, then.
The thing with the problem with Deicide here is Royce doesn't necessarily need the connections at this point. He can just go straight down the Pack Rat road.
Well, not anymore. Get that out of here.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You know, if he could play 2 spells in 1 turn, that's perfect, obviously, but he couldn't do that. So Hero's Downfall, get that thing out of here. This is another copy of Pack Rat with the necessary mana to cast it. So now Cohen's got to really get moving now. Finding a land here would be perfect as he attacks with the Spectre. That's a Mutavault. That might be the best land he could find.
Yeah, I mean, now he's got the perfect double black, double white, and a colorless for Obsidian if he wants it.
Let's see what he wants to cast. Getting everything right now is so crucial. And he's got about 4 minutes to make his decisions in.
I mean, he has a couple options here. He can Sign in Blood, Sing Collector. He can Deicide, Sing Collector. He can just cast Obsidian.
Put the pressure on.
Yeah.
Given the clock, I like putting the pressure on. I think that's what would tip my hand in this situation. I don't have a lot of time to really mess around.
I think I prefer Obsidian in this spot because not only are you kind of happy just trying to damage race at this stage, but also your Sing Collector is more likely to hit the following turn if you allow Royce to draw with the Underworld connections.
That's exactly what he's going to do. Looks like he's going to make a Pack Rat. Okay, I thought he might activate connections, but we'll make sure we do get our life totals updated here because they're going to be changing pretty quickly.
And this is why, you know, I thought that Noah may not, he may de-emphasize the connections on the other side of the table a little bit because Royce is just doing this now. The connections might as well not be even in play.
Sure. He's just Pack Ratting now.
Yeah.
So life totals are 20-11 here. The one thing about Pack Rat that we all know, it can close out a game real fast.
I mean, if Royce makes a rat here when he attacks, then that is 10 coming across.
Yeah, it does not take long at all. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to discard his last card, which is Underworld Connections. There's a rat. In we go. Mutavault is hanging out.
I think he wants to use it as insurance in case Noah has Bile Blight. What happens there is if he attacks with Mutavault, then at the end of the turn, Royce uses the connections. He is dead 2 rights to Bile Blight.
Destroyed by Bile Blight. Okay,
yeah, so gotcha. I think he wants the extra damage to come across, but he doesn't want to incur that risk.
Okay. So it's 8 points of damage. Gotcha. Cohen will untap. Obsidian's going to come back. 14-9. All right, let's see what Noah draws. A Mutavault.
Now, the upshot of this is that Royce is still in a ton of trouble if Noah finds Bile Blight, just because of the swing and the damage race.
Here come both the creatures. Now Royce has really got to think, okay, I probably have to block this Obsidian.
Well, if he doesn't block here, he's taking 7, he dies to the Obsidian trigger.
Yeah.
So something's got to give here.
Rocking a hard place, as it were.
And if he animates the Mutavault to chump block, then he's back in the same spot with Bile Blight, which was something he was clearly worried about last turn.
Yep. So there's your chump block.
And that's why he's chumping like this, because he cannot risk Bile Blight. Or at least he's gone down that road for himself.
Temple of Silence, the card turned over from the Spectre. We'll see what Cohen wants to deploy this turn, knowing he's not dead next turn for sure. He's going to play Mutavault. He's looking at Sign in Blood, which can actually target Royce if necessary. We can't forget about that, even though we haven't seen it happen here yet on SCG Live. Sing Collector as well. Sing Collector could be a body that's just cast and thrown out there. Could also deploy the Underworld Connections as well.
Yeah, I think I like just casting Deicide here. Royce probably draws a card. You can then cast Sin Collector. If you drew a spell, you get to tag it, and you get to keep the Sign in Blood in your hand for potential burnouts in a turn or two.
Yeah, I think that one's going upstairs.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to lead on Sin Collector. Yeah. Let's just target you. I know you've got nothing. Yeah, I think he came to the same conclusion and shoot it just backwards.
Yeah, I think this is an order of operations mistake for sure.
Yep.
He could have done this in the other order, and if Royce found a spell, Noah would have gotten it.
Yeah, let's see if he does find one. Don't get a good look at that card. There goes Obsidat. You saw the connections activation put him to 6. This will be turn 1 of extra turns.
And Royce drew a Thoughtseize, which I guess is technically a spell, though not one I think he's going to be casting.
It's a spell, not one he's going to cast, but taking a card away from Pack Rat.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
But keep in mind, you know, right now, the way things are, that upset trigger, that's 4. Night Veil Spectre is uncontested. That's 2. That's Royce down to 2. Sign in Blood is 0.
Yep.
So Royce does not know this, but Noah does have the kill set up.
It's very disguised.
Yeah.
The kill setup. It is very, very disguised. Especially if you're Royce, you don't know about, maybe Sign in Blood's not on your radar right now. In comes that. Gonna put him down to 4. Cohen's up to 16. Turn number 2 here of extra turns. Noah gonna draw. See a Temple of Silence there.
Noah's trying to figure out if there's any way to get Royce to tap down and make some rats here, because it is risky. Because Royce could have Devour Flesh.
Yeah, gotta fire up some Mutavaults, get in here with a whole bunch of creatures. This is a strange thing to say here. It looks like we're gonna see a Pack Rat, but it's very realistic. 1, because that Sign in Blood is textless, and 2, Noah is 16. Pretty young.
I know, I think he's got this line of play set up.
Yeah, you wonder if he knows that Sign in Blood can target the opponent. Just saying.
There's no way he makes this Alpha Strike unless he's just trying to get Royce to tap down.
All right, there you see the Sign in Blood, and that's going to do it. Noah Cohen's going to win this match over Royce Walter. 2-1, and the youngster moves on to 6-1.
Very well.